All right, in today's video, I want to talk about sending dynamic emails from Power Automate. And by that, I mean it's fairly easy to create an email or create a Power Automate flow that sends an email, but very often you want that email, that flow, to be able to send different contents in that email based on some different parameters. In this example, I'm going to use our employees list here where we have each employee has a role of either manager or staff or associate. So those are the three categories of employees we have. There's also this benefits eligible, and I want to send an email from the HR benefits team to each benefit eligible employee, um, but I want the contents of the email to be tailored to their role. So managers will get one set of content or one list of items. Um, Staff will get a different list. So just to show you what that list is, I kind of just wrote up my email template, as it were, in Notepad here, or Notepad++. So I want the email to say greetings and then their first name. This is a friendly reminder that the following tasks are to be completed by a close of business each Friday. And then if they are a manager, it should send them this list of tasks. And I've just included a little HTML formatting here to format these as an unordered list. So a bullet list is a common name for that. And then if they're staff, there'll be a different set of tasks or different list of tasks to include. But then at the end, we have the same text. So basically, we've got the opening section, the closing section, which are the same for everyone, but then I want that middle section to differ based on who they are, what role they have. So let's talk about how we can do that in Power Automate. So I'm going to jump over here to Power Automate, and we'll create a new flow. And I'm going to make this a scheduled flow, and we'll call this demo dynamic emails. And I'm going to set this to run every 1 week, but I only want to run it on Thursday. So I could send it on Friday, but if I'm asking them to do something by close of business Friday, that's not giving them a lot of notice. So I'll send it every Thursday, and actually we'll send it at the end of the day on Thursday, or midday on Thursday. But we can't configure that here. We actually need to configure that in the trigger. So let me just create our flow here. And then, as usual, when using the recurrence trigger, I like to open this up, click Edit, and make sure that it is set to your local time zone, or my local time zone, as it were. Eastern Time, US and Canada. I just blank out the start time, and I'll send this on Thursdays at, we'll say, noon. So 12 noon every Thursday, this flow will fire and send the emails that it needs to send. So now I need to get the people from that human resources list. And again, we only want to send to those who are benefits eligible. And then we're going to tailor it based on their role. So let's use we'll add a get items step here because we're getting items from a SharePoint site or a SharePoint list. So get items, plural. We'll point it at the human resources site and the employees list. And then I need to show advanced options, and in our filter query here, I need to filter on this benefits eligible column. So if I were to sort this, I can then look in the URL and see that the field name is benefits eligible. So I'll just copy that, and in the filter query here, paste that in, EQ1. So what that means is, because that is a checkbox or a Boolean field or column, a 1 is going to equate to yes. So this is going to give me only those who are benefits eligible, which is perfect. So let me just rename this to keep it clean. Get benefits eligible employees. All right, Good enough. So now that'll retrieve me the list of those. Now I want to think about that email that I'm going to send. So basically, I'm going to send the email body is going to be the same. The start of it's going to be the same for everyone. The middle section will be different, and then the closing section is going to be the same. So I want to create a placeholder for that middle section. In other words, we're going to dynamically, based on their role, add different values or different content to that section. And in order to do that, we need to use a variable. Now, this is one of those cases where there's a lot of times when you use a variable, you can get away with using compose, but in this scenario, you cannot. In other words, because we want to reference the same placeholder in the email, but populated with different values, we need to use a variable. So I'm going to initialize a variable, and we'll call this var tasks because that's what it is, and make that a string variable. And rename our action here, initialize var tasks, and we'll just leave it blank as an initial value. That's fine. Now we need to add a loop because we want to essentially do something with each of the entries, each item that's returned from this get items action. So we'll use the apply to each action, and the input of that will be from our get items action, the value column. It's very important. Even though value and body both say list of items, you need to be sure to select value here. Now within that, first thing I want to do in order to address it, remember I want to include their given name there, so I need to address that by getting their user profile. So I'll type get user profile v2, and then I'm going to feed in the account email, because if we look at our list, that account column is a person column, and the person column has a property of email, so that's what we want to use, account email. That will return the properties such as the first name, last name, etc. of that particular user. All right, so that's good. Now I want to basically define, we're going to populate var tasks based on their role. Now you could do this with a condition, but I'm going to show how to do it with a switch, just because sometimes in this case, if right now we only have 2 roles, but let's say in the future I wanted to expand it so that a separate email is sent for associate. In that case, I would need to use kind of a nested condition if I were to go with conditions, whereas with a switch statement, we can say if that role is this, then do this. If it's this, then do this. So it gives us a little more flexibility in terms of defining, assuming role is going to be a single value, using switch is a little bit more efficient. So I'll add an action here, call that and search for switch, and we are going to switch on the role, but you'll note that there is role and role value. It's very important. So basically role is the object, because as a choice column, it's an object that contains a sequence number plus the text value, but I want the value itself. So be sure to select, column name value there. So now if the role is manager, I need to set var task. So we'll do set variable. And in this case, we're going to set var tasks. And I'm just going to jump over to our text here. So these are the manager tasks. Copy that. And let's paste that in there. Oh, I forgot. Oh no, we'll get to it. I didn't forget it. We just haven't gotten to it yet. Sorry. So we're setting this variable to be set var tasks, manager tasks. Easy enough. Now with a switch, you can essentially create a separate case. This is case 1 manager, so let me rename this to case manager. But essentially you define a separate case for each possible value of that field or that column. Now there is this default, which if it gets to this point and it evaluates that and the value doesn't match a defined case, then it'll do what's in this default section. Now, since right now I'm only doing managers and staff, I could just basically populate the staff value in here, but to keep things clean, I always prefer to define those cases. So in this case, we'll say if the staff role value is staff, and again, we can rename this so case staff. Now we're going to do a similar, same sort of set variable action there. And again, we're setting var tasks, and we'll say var tasks staff tasks. Jump over to our staff tasks here. Let's grab that, paste that in. Oh, I forgot the opening tag, so let's just do. And this is a very simple HTML just to kind of define the an unordered list. HTML, you don't need to know HTML to work in Power Automate, but it's one of those skills that you will find is really good to have if you want to format things and make them look nice. All right, so there's our case staff, case manager. I can collapse that. Now, I could, in here, define the email action, but the point is that if we want similar text, or the same text at the start and end of the email, we just want that middle section. If I wanted to change that text, I'd have to change it in multiple places if we have multiple emails. Our goal here is to have one email where we're just dynamically populating it based on the data. So what I want to do is actually create the new email below this switch action. So just collapse the switch and click add action. And I'm actually going to send this email from a shared mailbox. So we'll select that. And that mailbox is HR benefits. And I want to send it to, we'll go to add dynamic content. And then there's the mail from the user profile. Perfect. Subject is weekly HR reminders. And then in the body, I'm going to paste in our content here. So again, we've got that opening segment. Paste that in. Now we want to replace this given name placeholder with the actual given name from the user profile. Then I want to insert var tasks. So again, this is going to populate in whatever value has been assigned to that variable in that switch statement. And then we want to close with our other common content there. Let me just, yep, that all looks good. I mean, spacing wise, you could add an extra line break here if you'd like, but the UL, that unordered list, should give us the right spacing. So we're just going to leave that as is and hit save. So again, the beauty of this is if I want to change this particular email, the common content, I just need to do that once. I don't need to make the same change in multiple places. So let's test this out. All right, so that is going to run. It's only 5 or 6 entries there, so it completes. We can see it sent 5 emails. And here if we look at the switch, you can see the first one, the expression resulted manager. So the manager case is what fired. The staff case was skipped. And then if we look at the email that was sent, it was sent to that particular manager's email. And as we look through, there are the manager tasks. And if I jump over to Robert's profile here, here is the email. You can see there's, the common text, the bullet list, etc. And likewise, if we jump over to Andrew's account here, profile, and check his email, there is the staff email saying submit your leave time, wait for your manager for approval, etc. So that's pretty much it. This is a very simple use case, but it's something that you will find yourself doing a number of times, especially when you're building these emails in Power Automate. The easy way is to just create multiple different emails, but it can be very difficult if you have scenarios where the content of that email might change over time. It just becomes more trouble to maintain. So by splitting it out, or I should say by dividing the content and just sort of building that content dynamically, you can more easily maintain your flow by having the common content maintained in one place. There are other ways to do this, so this is not absolutely not the only way to build email contents, but it's a way that I found to be very helpful. So hopefully you find it helpful as well. So that's what we got. Thank you all for watching and have a great day.